The phone still buzzes on the table, its vibration echoing in her bones. Lynn stares at the screen until the light fades. She can still hear her father's voice, calm, polite, distant. "We won't be able to make it today, sweetheart." Sweetheart. He says it like a habit, not a feeling. Her fingers tighten around the phone until her knuckles pale. "Why?" she had asked, her voice cracking between disbelief and hope. "Your sister's housewarming can't be moved. All her new neighbors are coming." Lynn had laughed then, a sound hollow enough to hurt. "It's my wedding day, Dad." "I know, these things happen." These things. As if missing a daughter's wedding is a scheduling issue. Her mother had come on the line next, soft and smooth. "We love you, dear. Don't make this harder than it already is." Harder for whom? The silence afterward was colder than truth. Lynn had hung up without goodbye, a first in her life. Now she sits still, the echoes of childhood flickering like ghosts. She remembers standing in the driveway at 8 years old. A suitcase by her feet. Her parents loading the car for a family trip. Her sister already inside, waving with excitement. "You'll stay with Grandma this time," her mother had said. Disneyland is too much for someone your age. Lynn had been 11 months older than her sister. The math never made sense, but the message did. She wasn't meant to be included. That night, her grandfather taught her to fish behind the farmhouse. "More fish for us," he'd said, his voice warm with kindness. She asked him why they always left without her. He'd smiled sadly. "Some people don't see the treasure they already have." That sentence became her shield through the years. The proof that love didn't always come from where it should. Back in the present, Lynn exhales slowly. Her chest feels tight, like a storm trapped beneath her ribs. She glances at the mirror again, sees the same little girl. The one who always waited for someone who never arrived. She'd hoped adulthood would change that. It didn't. The pain simply dressed itself better. A knock comes at the door again. "Lynn, are you okay?" It's the coordinator, her voice kind but cautious. Lynn clears her throat, steadying the quake in her chest. "They're not coming," she says softly at first. Then louder, certain. "They chose the barbecue." Silence answers her, thick and sympathetic. But for the first time, she doesn't crumble under it. Her reflection looks back, calm, composed, almost defiant. Maybe this is what breaking free looks like. Not shouting, not crying, but refusing to beg. She places the phone down, its weight finally gone. The ache remains, but beneath it, something fierce begins to grow. A voice, quiet but certain, whispering beneath her breath. "You still have people who show up." She reaches for her bouquet, inhales the scent of lilies and resolve. "Today isn't about them," she says to the mirror. "It's about who stayed." The morning light stretches across the small farmhouse kitchen. Lynn remembers that place like a dream, wrapped in safety. Grandma always smelled of cinnamon and soap. Grandpa's hands were rough from woodwork, steady and sure. They never raised their voices, never made her feel small. When her parents forgot birthdays, Grandma baked 2 cakes. "One for the day they had you," she'd say, "and one for the day we got you." Lynn would laugh then, not understanding the weight of those words. Years later, she would. She remembers the night the storm came. Thunder shook the windows, lightning tore the sky open. She was 15, sitting on her bed with a bleeding lip. Her sister had thrown a glass after another jealous argument. Their mother had rushed in, not to help but to scold. "Why do you always provoke her?" Blood still on her chin, Lynn whispered, "She hit me." Her father's expression had turned to stone. "She's fragile," he said. "You should understand that." Understand. That word carved itself into her like a wound. She didn't cry. She just packed a small bag and waited. When Grandpa's truck headlights flashed in the driveway, she exhaled. He stepped inside, nodded once at her father. "That girl needs peace more than you need pride." No one stopped him, when he led her out the door. She never looked back. At the farmhouse, Grandma was waiting with warm soup and open arms. "You're safe now," she'd whispered, brushing Lynn's hair back. For the first time, Lynn believed it. Days turned into months. School came and went, quiet and ordinary. Grandpa built her a small study desk near the window. He carved her initials on the corner, letters deep and uneven. Each morning, he left an apple and a handwritten quote. "Don't let the world decide your worth." She collected them all in a box under her bed. Every time she doubted herself, she read them again. At night, Grandma would sit beside her and teach her to sew. "Patience," she said, threading the needle through cloth. "It's how broken things become beautiful again." Lynn carried that sentence like prayer. Even now, sitting in the bridal room, she feels it echo. Her phone lies silent, but her heart is. It beats with the rhythm of those small moments. The laughter at the breakfast table. The warmth of hands that never let go. She knows now that love doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it arrives quietly, in the way someone stays. The memory fades, replaced by the scent of her bouquet. Lilies and jasmine. Grandma's favorites. Lynn smiles faintly, touching the pearls at her neck. They once belonged to Grandma, passed down for luck. But luck has nothing to do with this, she thinks. It's choice. To choose peace. To choose herself. And to never again mistake silence for love. The library smelled like dust and paper, a quiet world of order and calm. Lynn loved it there, surrounded by words that never lied. She reached for a book too high, her fingers brushing empty air. A voice behind her said softly, "Need a hand." She turned and saw him, tall, calm, eyes kind but curious. He reached up easily, pulled the book free, and smiled. "Here," he said, "no rescue fee required." She laughed, surprised at how natural it felt. His name was Nam. They met again the next day, and the one after that. He always carried coffee, 1 cup extra, just in case. They studied together, traded stories, shared silence without fear. Nam never asked too much, never flinched when she spoke of the past. He just listened, really listened, like her words mattered. One evening, under the soft hum of the library lights, she told him. About her parents. About leaving home. About how she still woke up waiting for love that didn't come. He didn't interrupt. When she finished, he said, "Their loss, Lynn, completely their loss." The words landed like a promise. Not pity, not comfort, truth. She realized then that love could be gentle. It didn't need to demand or bruise or bargain. It could simply stay. When Nam took her home to meet his family, she expected distance. Instead, his mother pulled her into a hug that smelled of flower and warmth. "We've heard so much about you," she said, beaming. At dinner, his brothers teased each other, laughter filling every corner. The noise, the chaos, the love, it felt like sunlight after years of rain. Nam caught her gaze across the table, eyes soft, reassuring. Later, his mother handed Lynn an apron and said, "Come help me with dessert." Lynn hesitated, then nodded. They stood side by side, folding dough and trading quiet jokes. When the pie came out of the oven, golden and steaming, she smiled. "This smells like home," she whispered. His mother wiped her hands on her apron. "Then it is." That night, Lynn cried for the first time in years, but not from pain. It was relief, the kind that seeps deep into your bones. She called Grandma after midnight, voice trembling with joy. "I think I found my place," she said. Grandma's laughter was soft through the line. "You didn't find it, dear. You built it." Lynn pressed her hand over her heart, where warmth bloomed steady. From that day, she stopped calling herself the forgotten one. Nam's family didn't fill her emptiness. They helped her outgrow it. Each visit, each meal, each shared story stitched something inside her back together. She learned that love isn't about who left. It's about who stays. And for the first time, staying didn't scare her. It felt like breathing. The sky over the farmhouse glowed with orange and pink, soft and endless. Lynn walked by the lake, the same one where Grandpa once taught her to fish. Each ripple shimmered with memories she no longer feared. Nam followed a few steps behind, quiet but smiling. She turned to say something, but he was already kneeling. A small velvet box rested in his hand, trembling just slightly. "Your grandfather gave me this," he said. "He said it belonged to your grandmother." Lynn covered her mouth, tears already stinging. Inside the box lay a ring of tiny diamonds around a single stone. Her grandmother's ring. The one she'd admired as a child, but never dared to touch. Nam's voice wavered, full of hope. "They loved you like their own, and I do too. Will you marry me?" She couldn't speak. Only nod, again and again, while the world blurred with light. Behind them, two figures stood at the tree line, Grandpa and Grandma. They were smiling, hands clasped, eyes wet with pride. They'd planned this, she realized. These quiet architects of her happiness. When Nam slid the ring on her finger, the lake caught the sunlight and scattered it. She laughed through tears, the sound free and whole. "Of course I will," she said, voice shaking with joy. Later, as they sat by the porch steps, she leaned on his shoulder. "Do you think they'll come?" she asked, almost to herself. He didn't need to ask who. He just squeezed her hand. They might not, but you'll still have everyone who matters." She nodded, staring at the horizon. It was beautiful, yes, but distant, like the love she used to chase. That night, she wrote Grandma a note before sleeping. "Thank you for teaching me what love looks like when it stays." Months passed. Wedding plans filled the air with excitement and nerves. Lynn threw herself into details: flowers, music, vows. Then, one morning, her phone chimed. A name she hadn't seen in 5 years. "Mother." Her fingers froze above the screen. The message was simple. "We're happy for you. Let's talk about the wedding." No apology. No acknowledgement of the years in between. Just entitlement wrapped in politeness. Nam found her staring at the message, silent. He read it once, then met her eyes. "You don't have to reply." But Lynn did. Because silence had protected her before, but now it felt different. She typed slowly. "I hope you're well. The wedding will be small. Only those who have been here all along." She hesitated, then pressed send. No anger, no explanation, just truth. When she set the phone down, her hands stopped shaking. Grandma once said peace isn't loud. It's the quiet that follows honesty. Lynn finally understood. Some doors don't need to be slammed. They just need to stay closed. Outside, the wind carried the scent of jasmine and the promise of tomorrow. The cafe smelled of roasted beans and rain on pavement. Lynn arrived early, claiming the corner table by the window. Her reflection in the glass looked calm, but her pulse betrayed her. Minutes stretched, heavy and slow, until the door chimed. Her parents walked in, as if nothing had broken years ago. Her mother smiled too brightly. Her father's handshake was stiff, formal. "You look well," he said, scanning the room instead of her face. She nodded, her voice soft. "So do you." Silence filled the space between them, awkward and fragile. Her mother leaned forward, lowering her voice. "We're happy for you, dear. It's time we act like a family again." Family. The word stung more than she expected. Her father cleared his throat, businesslike. "Have you sent out invitations? Will your sister be receiving one?" Lynn stirred her coffee slowly, watching the dark swirl. "No," she said. The answer fell like a stone in still water. Her mother blinked, confusion flashing into panic. "Darling, she's your sister. What will people think?" Lynn met her gaze without flinching. "I'm not worried about people. I'm worried about peace." Her father's tone sharpened. "Families forgive, Lynn. That's what we do." She smiled sadly. "Forgiveness doesn't mean I have to reopen the wound." Her mother reached across the table, eyes glistening with practiced tears. "We've all made mistakes. Don't punish us forever." Lynn pulled her hand back gently. "I'm not punishing anyone. I'm protecting myself." Her father leaned back, jaw tight. "You've always been dramatic, always making things harder than they are." She breathed in slowly, steadying herself. "Maybe because I was the only one who saw things as they were." For the first time, neither of them had a reply. The silence grew, thick as smoke. Her mother tried again, voice trembling. "What if she only comes to the reception? One day of peace, that's all." Lynn placed a few bills beside her untouched cup. "One day of peace doesn't come from pretending. It comes from honesty." Her father sighed, frustration edging into anger. "Don't make us choose between our daughters." "You already did," Lynn said quietly. "A long time ago." She stood, smoothing her dress, her hands no longer shaking. "I wish you well, I really do. But this wedding isn't about appearances." They stared at her, startled, as if the ground had shifted. Her mother whispered, "Please reconsider." Lynn smiled, soft but unbroken. "I already have." She turned toward the door, the bell chiming as she stepped into sunlight. Outside, the city hummed with life, unconcerned by her storm. Each step felt lighter, cleaner, like shedding an old skin. Behind her, the cafe faded into memory. For years, she tried to earn their love. Now, she realized love shouldn't have to be earned at all. Peace, she thought, is choosing yourself and walking away without hate. The church glowed in soft morning light, windows painted with color. Lynn stood before the mirror, hands calm at last. Her veil shimmered as she took a deep breath. Outside the door, footsteps approached, steady, familiar. "Whenever you're ready," Grandpa said gently. She opened the door, her eyes meeting his. He looked proud, eyes bright with tears he didn't hide. "You look just like your grandmother," he whispered. Lynn smiled, the ache in her chest softening. "Would you walk me down the aisle?" she asked. He offered his arm with a little bow. "I've been waiting years for you to ask." As they stepped into the main hall, the music rose. Guests turned, faces glowing with warmth. And at the end of the aisle, Nam stood waiting, love written all over him. Grandma sat in the front row, clutching a handkerchief, her smile radiant. Each step Lynn took felt like leaving behind another ghost. No bitterness, no fear, just release. Grandpa leaned in close and whispered, "Head high now, my girl. You're not walking away from what you lost. You're walking toward what you found." Her throat tightened. She held his arm a little tighter. When she reached Nam, Grandpa placed her hand in his. Then he stepped back, pride shining brighter than the stained glass. The vows were simple, honest, and trembling with truth. Nam promised to stay, not only when it was easy, but when it was. Lynn promised to love, without losing herself again. When they said, "I do," the world outside seemed to hush. Applause followed, soft at first, then full and bright. As they walked out into the sunlight, petals fluttered around them. Lynn glanced up at the sky and thought of every version of herself that had survived. The little girl left behind. The teenager who ran. The woman who finally chose peace. They had all walked with her that day. Later, at their new home, sunlight poured through open windows. Boxes lined the floor, labeled with her careful handwriting. Nam set down the last one, laughing. "I still can't believe this is ours," she said. He wrapped an arm around her. "We earned it." On the mantel, framed photos told their story. Grandpa at the wedding, beaming. Grandma wiping tears with a napkin. No parents, no sister, and somehow it didn't hurt. Each image felt whole without them. Nam's mother called, asking if they'd host Thanksgiving. Lynn smiled, shaking her head. "Maybe next year. This one I just want quiet." When she hung up, she realized quiet no longer meant loneliness. It meant safety. It meant home. She touched her ring, its small diamonds catching the light. Her grandmother's love still circling her finger. Outside, laughter drifted from a neighbor's yard. Lynn leaned into Nam, her voice soft but steady. "I think I finally understand," she said. "Family isn't who stays by blood, it's who stays by choice." The dining room glowed with candlelight and laughter. Plates clinked, voices overlapped, warmth filled every corner. Grandpa told stories between bites of pie, Grandma smiling beside him. Nam's family passed dishes down the long wooden table. 2 empty chairs sat quietly near the end. Lynn noticed them, her heart steady instead of sore. Nam's mother touched her hand and said, "We keep them open, just in case." Lynn nodded, her throat thick but calm. It wasn't about waiting anymore. It was about letting go without closing the door. After dinner, she stood by the fireplace, tracing the photos on the mantel. Her wedding picture. Grandma's garden. Grandpa's fishing hat, resting crookedly on his head. So much love in one small frame of life. Nam joined her, slipping his hand into hers. "They never called," he said softly. "I know," she whispered, "and that's okay." She looked around the room, her family, her home, her peace. "Love doesn't always come from where we expect," she said. "It comes from who stays when it's hardest to love you." Outside, the night settled gentle and still. Inside, her heart finally rested, free, whole, and home.